First, thank you, Allison, for those very kind words. I was like, who's going to talk about me? I can't imagine. And it was so nice hearing that wonderful voice. Thank you. I think I should just stop right there. My parents in the audience just believe everything she said. We can just stop right there. There's nothing more to say. It's, as the other recipients have said, it's an extraordinary honor to be here tonight. Thank you so much for the Dallas Women's Lawyers Association. I think it's a testament. If the mission is about empowering and basically building up the legal profession for women, I can clearly say you guys have accomplished that just looking around the room. There's two things I'd like to do in my time tonight. And the first is I'd like to ask you guys just to take 10 seconds and think about somebody that's made a difference in your life. That's either been your sponsor, it's been your encourager, it's been your mentor, whatever that word is. Just take 10 seconds and think about that person. I'll keep the time. As you think about that person, I think wherever they are, and they may be in this room, they may be someplace else, they may have passed on to a better place. But I think it's really significant to remember those people that make a difference. Because I would tell you in my 28 years of practicing law and 53 years on this earth, if I've learned one thing, it's really this simple. It's not about you. It's just so not about you. It's about what you do for others. And so in my second part of tonight, what I'd like to do, just as everybody else has done, and again, it's an indulgent kind of thing, but if there's a reason to get an award, it's to be able to thank those people that have brought you to where you are. And so, if you will, just indulge me, as you have the others, to thank a couple of folks that have brought me along the way. And I thought it was really amazing when I got the email that said, you'd been selected for this, and the first person I saw in the picture was the big award recipient tonight, Sarah Saldana, who was my partner in charge at Baker & Botts when I was a young associate trying to figure it all out. And I think it's just incredibly fitting about that kind of whole circle of life that you're the big recipient tonight and I'm just blessed to share the stage. You taught me so much. You taught me about perseverance in particular, and I'm going to take you back, and I told you this is the joke, right? Sarah was an extraordinary partner, but she had this one client, Iowa Beef Processing. We spent a lot of time in a processing plant in Garden City, Kansas, and that was not a namesake kind of place. It was not Garden City, Kansas in the processing plant. But she was right there side by side and showed me, we took, 50 depositions in 2 weeks, round the clock. It was again, a really incredible growing experience, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful. I also turned to my PepsiCo team. I've worked at basically 2 places my whole life, right? Baker & Botts and PepsiCo. I've been there 20 years. And when I came 20 years ago, I was the first labor and employment lawyer, and one of the very first people I met was Leanne Oliver, who was there. And Leanne's like, well, I'm the labor and employment lawyer too. I'm like, well, why are you in the HR department? Come join me. And I would tell you one of my greatest, if it will feel like accomplishments, is the fact that now Frito-Lay has its first female general counsel, and it's Leanne Oliver. And so, blessings to you. It's extraordinary. And I think that kind of goes to show, again, a little about what you can do in-house and the difference you can make. With that, I've got my other PepsiCo family here, and just extraordinary female and male lawyers that really, make a difference every day in what we try to do and doing it the best that we can. To my team that's sitting here, Brian, Aida, Brenda, Bill, all of you guys, I couldn't be who I am if it weren't for you, and you know that, and I try to tell you that every day. But as somebody said, as you said earlier, it is about your tribe. And I tell you, I've had my tribe for 20 years, and I wouldn't trade one of them because they're extraordinary folks. So that's off to all of you. And like everybody else, I think you look at, it's really, again, who you associate with. And there are 2 folks, you saw Allison Ashmore, but there's another gentleman here that really has been there for me for literally my 20 years at PepsiCo. after I made that big jump to leave Baker and Botts. Nothing, I love working for Sarah, but Iowa beef was a little much for me. So I went looking for a little balance in life, and I found it in PepsiCo, but I found myself in a place where, like 3 months in, I was set for trial in Amarillo, Texas, and Dallas lawyers in Amarillo, Texas, with big name companies as defendants are really not where you want to be. And I called on somebody, and I remember the call. I remember sitting there after a failed mediation saying, Ray, you told me you could try cases. Did you really mean it? Because if we lose, my career here at PepsiCo is gone before I get started. And I was pretty nervous. And he came in, he tried it, and for 20 years, he's been by my side in terms of as outside counsel partner all the way through from every town across the U.S., back to Amarillo and back. And thank you. And I think the cool thing, again, for me was about 1.5 years ago, watching Ray and Allison try a case and watching him actually turn the baton over to Allison and say, you make that closing argument. You make the appellate argument. It was just an extraordinary thing because you could have done it yourself, but you didn't. You gave it to Allison, and you kind of passed that torch, and that's what mentorship looks like, giving people opportunities to really shine, and you did that, and Allison knocked it out of the park, and we won all the way up through the state Supreme Court. So there, another great story. And I'll close with my thank you to people that, but for them, I wouldn't be here. I have the privilege, like several of the other folks, of having my parents here tonight. They came in from South Carolina to celebrate and be with me. And Dad, I may never make it to the Supreme Court, but enjoy tonight, because this is as good as it gets. You put me through law school. You've always been there. And you told me I could do anything, and I have. My sister, you've always been there too, always kind of keeping it real. And I need that, and I appreciate that, and ask you to keep doing that. And again, I have the privilege of having my wonderful 22-year-old daughter, God, that sounds old here, who is gainfully employed and has to live with the baggage of having a mom that's an employment lawyer that every day talks to you about social media. Don't put that picture on your Facebook. Make sure when you interview that you're always honest, because otherwise they'll fire you when they figure it out, right? All the lessons that I've learned over time. Alex has lived through all that, and she still smiles and has turned out to be an extraordinary, wonderful, strong young lady that has an outstanding career ahead of her. And I'll close by, it takes a lot. It takes an awful lot to keep things going day to day and all that. And even tonight when we're sitting here and I couldn't find you a place, Mike does what he always does. He just is like, just go, I got this. And you've had this for me for a long time. And I just want you to know, wouldn't be here, couldn't do it without you. So thank you. Thank you to all of you.